Well, first of all, welcome to the show of the most wishful John G. Jones Grand Lodge, California Ancient Free and Accepted Masons, Research Lodge number 147. I'm yours truly, Past Grand Tony Hawkins. Certainly is indeed an honor to be here this evening. You know what? Today we're going to talk about the death of a man. When I say the death of a man, I'm talking about the one and only John G. Jones, the man himself. Here I have in my possession what actually took place at his funeral, what actually happens at John G. Jones' funeral, because as we've been told that when Jones passed away, it was said that nobody showed up to his funeral. It was said that nobody wanted to be around him and a whole lot of stuff. But this is what I have today. This is from July 25th, 1914. It's a newspaper article out of the Boston, Mass. It says the death of a man. It actually puts in the paper John G. Jones' obituary. Who was there? What was said? And we're going to discuss that today. So here it is right here for you to see, right? It's talking about Jones, who was there, So whenever I talk to you about something, I want to make sure that I have paperwork to back it up, so you won't be saying that this gentleman right here is just talking out the side of his neck. No, sir. No, sir. So this is where we're at tonight. We're going to talk about the death of a man, and that man being John G. Jones. You know what? Tonight, from here forth on, my label, my title for Jones is the father of Black ancient free and accepted Masons. That's what I'm calling him. The father of Black ancient free and accepted Masons. Because without him, there would be no ancient free and accepted Masons amongst African Americans. Now, granted, I would say this. Before he came along, there was always ancient free and accepted Masons. But after 1903 and that whole incident, whatever they said happened, Jones spearheaded that movement. He did. He certainly did. So I'm going to say, and I'm going to call him the father of Black ancient free and accepted Masons. My man, John G. Jones. So we're going to leave it right there. But we're about to get into it. So greetings, Brother Lewis, and everybody that's come along. So tonight's show is going to be about Jones and what happened at his funeral. Because like I said before, a lot has been said that, when Jones passed away, nobody was there. A whole lot. But tonight, we're going to talk about who was actually there and what was actually said about Jones. All right, so we're going to get right into it. So once again, I want to welcome everyone who's coming on. Greeting Brother Johnson, Brother Stevens, Brother Maddox, Brother Lewis. Great. It's great having everybody come on tonight. I want to send a big shout out to Universal Grand Lodge. I would just want to send them a big shout out. I appreciate your support, Universal Grand Lodge, and your organization for your support. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for tuning in. Definitely sending you a big shout out. So they're letting you know that, that this show is touching everybody. We're not leaving no one out. So even though it may be called John G. Jones Research Lodge number 147, we're not leaving anybody out. None of us are left out of this show. It's about us. This show is about us, but particularly it's about Jones, okay? Just so you know, all right? So we're going to get on with it today. Brother Gilmore, greetings. We're going to get on with it today. So it says here, right here, it says, Boston, Massachusetts, Saturday, July the 25th, 1914, okay? It says, memorial services were held for the late John G. Jones, the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite Mason for the Northern and Southern jurisdiction. This is who was there. Robert H. Shelton, 33rd degree, Grand Treasurer, Alpha Grand Lodge. Louis C. Collins, past senior right Grand Master. John G. Jones of John G. Jones. And then it says C.G., the Grand Counselor for the Order of the Eastern Star of Massachusetts. Those taking part was Herbert L. Jackson, many more, Fred W. Riggs, Ellis W. Ryder, Fred Herbert, Emma E. Berkeley, and then it goes on to say MJW Rothstein, 33rd. A sermon was presented, and the preacher name was Reverend E.K. Nicholas. Those who were at, this is those who took place, actually had hands on at the service. Once again, I'm going to make sure I get this right because I don't want nobody misquoting me because I'm reading it from here. All right? This is where I'm taking this from. It says, Boston, Massachusetts. Memorial service were held for the late John G. Jones, 33rd, Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite Mason of Northern and Southern jurisdiction. Who was present? Robert H. Shelton, 33rd degree Grand Treasurer of Alpha Grand Lodge. Lewis C. Collins, okay? And then it goes of the Order of the Eastern Star, C.G. Williams of Massachusetts. Those taking part was Herbert L. Jackson, many more, Fred W. Riggs, Ellis W. Ryder, Fred Herbert, Emma E. Berkeley, and GMJW. Sermon was preached by Reverend E.K. Nicholas. That's who had hands on at this service. And then it goes on to say the death of a man. There was recently died in Chicago an African American who was every inch of a man. In those later days, when the Windy City had been overrun by Jim Crow laws, self-seeking at the expense of race, self-segregation, separation of Christians and association builders and other organization, a character like John G. Jones was a standout in all the greatness and brilliance. In the olden days, he fought every expedition of hostility to his people, okay, to his finest. So great was his interrogation when his people were wrong and no one gave them any doubt. He was the first one to fight against every form of Jim Crowism, that he earned himself the subordinate name of Indignation Jones. While in a lonely call, he earned and served and saved money to pay his tuition into law school, and after serving years and admitted to the bar. That was a bad man. I'm just telling you, the man was bad, all right? And then it goes on to say he built up a paying practice. He had his own practice and was a predominant and Freemason in the Masonic circle, and was received with great honor by members of the craft when he visited Europe some years ago. And then it goes on to say, although somewhat dark and complex, he knew that he was not a Negro and resented being addressed as one. See, the man, hey, you call that man an American citizen, demanded all the rights of an American citizen, and solemnly felt to get his rights. Jones was absolutely unafraid, and many years ago, when he was a member of the Illinois legislation, he refused to vote for the late S.M. Coleman for U.S. Senator because he felt that Coleman had not been square in his dealing with African Americans' Constitution. Every possible influence was brought to bear on Jones by then the powerful Republican machine to introduce him to give him his vote to Collins. He was co-joined and threatened, but he stood like a man in every way. After Collins had threatened him, but he stood his ground. Even after Collins was elected and a motion was made election unanimous, Jones refused to change his vote. He was a bad man. He was a bad man. You can say whatever you want to say about him. He was a bad man. Okay? It is said There was a few men with Jones. The strength and character that he left in Chicago, the caring that he gave his people, his has increased by leaps and bounds. May he rest in peace. Now, this is out of the Boston Mass. This is out of the Boston Mass. All right. They printed about Jones. All right. Now, he had a funeral in Chicago and he had one in Boston. Could you believe that? I'm just saying. He was a bad man. My source is the Boston, Massachusetts newspaper, the Boston Mass. That's my source, and it's dated Saturday, July the 25th, 1914. That's my source there, bro. I'm not gonna give you something I can't back it up with sources. That's written out of newspaper. That's on the day that they did his thing. And here's the resolution. This is the resolution right here. Okay. All right. And this is the high Masonic body. All right. This is the same article. This is all in the same article. All right. So let's see what they said in the resolution about Jones. They said, whereas the divine providence has removed from our midst the late John G. Jones. Let me make sure I got the one. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. This is the one on Jones's wife. All right. Yeah, John G. Jones was married. This is the one on his wife right here. My apologies. This is the resolution in regards to his wife. And this is a continuation for Jones right here in the newspaper. Okay. So let's look at what they said about Jones's wife. It says, whereas the divine providence has removed the late Mrs. Carol Jones, the wife of the Honorable John G. Jones, our esteemed fellow citizen and member of the DA, Strikers Bar Association. And whereas her life has been one of the highest types of a Christian womanhood and the most worthy example of a woman of our city, be it resolved that we, the members of the DA, okay, DA, Stretchers Bar Association of Chicago, mourn with our fellow members his deep and sad affliction was the most esteemed character, faithful wife, and devoted much of her time and means in quiet and unsubstantiated way toward assisting the needy and distressed, and especially in her efforts towards making happy and caring for the lives of the unfortunate. And it goes on to say, lowly resolve and farther that we extend to our brave husband, relatives, and friends of the deceased our most sincere and heartfelt sympathy in this their our extreme sadness, always remembering that there is a reaper in those names and death, and with his circle a scythe knee, he cuts in barren grains a breath in the grass that grows beneath. Resolve farther that a copy of these resolutions be sent to the husband and family of the deceased. So she must have died before he passed away. All right. So I'm just saying. Now, and I'm going to go on and say this here. White Masons with John G. Jones 33rd. White Masons with John G. Jones 33rd. Why would white Masons want to be with John G. Jones? You know, greetings, Brother Jackson. Why would white Masons want to be with John G. Jones? Well, I'm going to read you this. I don't know if you can see it or not, but let me see if I can get a little closer. It says right here, white Masons with John G. Jones. All right. So let's see what they say. They said John G. Jones, 33rd of Chicago, Sovereign Grand Commander of the United Supreme Council, Ancient and Scepter Scottish Rite, Masons, 33rd degree of the United States of America, jurisdiction, and the Imperial Potentate of the Imperial Grand Council of the Mystic Shrine of North and South America, received a report that the illustrious deputy, W.H. Nelson, 33rd and 95th, 33rd of 55th Street, Cambridge, Massachusetts, that his solemn condolence of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite Mason in Mecca Temple of the Mystic Shrine. This consistory and temple is composed entirely of white Masons and the best citizens of Cambridge, Massachusetts, who are prominent in the Masonic order. They took out a charter from the supreme body, which is presided over by the illustrious John G. Jones. They recognized him to be the only illegitimate head and authority of the United States in the United States in the Mystic Shrine in the ancient accepted Scottish Rite. This is what they said about Jones. All right. So when people want to talk about Jones and what he did and all that stuff, you got to come up. Come on now. You got to come up. You got to give the man his credit. If you're going to give him the bad stuff, you got to give him the good stuff too. It's just that simple. It's not even something you want to really debate. You know, that's just where it's at. So let's look at this some more. All right. Now we talked about a couple of things. Now we did talk about the fact that there was a group of white Masons who actually came up under Jones. He actually issued them a charter. All right. And this happened. I'm going to see. I'm going to make sure I get the right year here that this took place. All right. This is out of the Boston, Massachusetts newspaper also. It says High Masonic Body. Okay. The first in history of the order established in Africa. That's the headlines right here. Okay. Okay. That's the headlines right here. High Masonic Body. All right. And then it goes on to tell you who was all present. This is what I like. It says the Honorable Owens L. Smith, 33rd, the illustrious deputy of the Republic of Libya. And then it goes on to say, and now the United States Minister and Counsel General of the Republic of Libya, and is recognized to be one of the most brilliant men and best known in Masonry and international law. That's who was present at this thing. I'm like, wow. So there's a lot of information on Jones, but you know what? If you're going to bring out the bad, it's best to bring out the good also. All right, let's look at something else here. What else do I have? What else do I have? Hold on, that just may be for me. Hello? Hello, can I help you? Hey, hold on just a second, okay? Yeah. All right. Oh, so you back on tonight? Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the show there, Freemason Unlock. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
So I'm doing all right. So the show, man, is basically on Jones, and we're talking about who was at his when he passed away. There's a lot of misinformation about no one being there, and there was none really put down or written about his death. But what I have here tonight at my disposal is the resolution for his wife when she died. I also have who was at Jones, who was there with Jones when he passed away. So I have quite a bit of information we're going to be going through tonight, and I'm letting it be known that I have placed this title upon Jones, the father of Black, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. toast to
Right.
that.
That's correct.
So if we're gonna do anything, we're gonna do it right. Now, if I'm gonna give Jones the bad, I'm gonna give him the good too.
Right.
So I'm glad to have you on tonight. I know we was talking last night and we was freezing and going on, things like that was happening. So we're gonna pick up
Right.
off that from last night.
Okay.
So I'm gonna finish up with this real quick, all right? Just
Uh,
real quick, and then we're gonna go back and pick up from where we left off last night. Are you okay with that?
yes, sir.
All right. So I'm gonna say this here. In 1893, the senators for it says Muskego County, Libya. The Honorable E.C. Johnson, 33rd Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge of Libya and Chief Clerk in the Post Office of the Department of the Republic of Libya. The Honorable James Robert Surgate, 33rd Grand Junior Warden of the Grand Lodge of Kentucky. Grand General Elissimo for the Grand Commander of the Knights Templar of India. Okay? No, I'm sorry, of Indiana. My apologies. That's not India, it's Indiana. In Kentucky, and the Secretary of American Legislation of the United States, um, the Honorable Louis R. Johnson, 33rd, Wishful Master of Oriental Lodge of Libya, Africa. And then it says the Honorable B.Y. Payan, 32nd Vice Consul of the United States at Manuva, Libya. United States at Manuva, Libya. Reverend Dr. B.K. McKinney, 33rd past Grand Secretary for the Grand Lodge of Libya. It's like a lot of people from Libya was at his funeral. Um, and a large number of other distinguished Masons, the Order of the Eastern Stars, and out-of-state members, most foreign dignitaries. Wow, it was a lot of different people at his homegoing services. So when I think about that, bruh, I just want to set the record straight, because a lot of times we get a lot of information about Jones and who was there at his funeral and did he actually have a funeral? And the record says he actually had a funeral. There was actual people there, and at that time, the most puissant sovereign grand commander after Jones' death was I think it was Styles. What was Styles' name? Steelyard. Steelyards was the most puissant sovereign grand commander after Jones' death. So there you have it. And I got paperwork to back it up. Brother Freemason Lock, you still there, bro?
Yes, sir.
So you now, you bring.
Okay, yeah. So I was going over the episode last night, and the thing pertaining to Black ancient free and accepted Masons, what brothers have to know is the rules of Freemasonry and customs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my Masonic career, I started out as being under Black ancient free and accepted Masons.
Mm-hmm.
So Lodge number 7 under the most worshipful Mr. Ty Grand Lodge of New York. So with some of the information, right? Like last night, certain references were made to like Coyle's Masonic Encyclopedia. Sometimes references are made to what's his name, Mackey,
Right.
his jurisprudence, etc. Now,
Mm-hmm.
as far as Masonic research, because this is a Masonic research channel,
Correct.
you have American Freemasonry on the one hand, and then you have British Freemasonry on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
which would be the United Grand Lodge of England. And of course, you have other jurisdictions as far as Europe, Africa, Asia, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as Freemasons, if
I'm getting a lot of feedback, bro. You okay? I'm getting a lot of feedback.
From me?
I don't know if it's from me or you, but I'm getting a lot of feedback. But go ahead.
Okay. So as far as Black ancient free and accepted Masons, there's not a lot of published literature, right? There's some, but there's not a lot.
Uh-huh.
So in Masonic research, if we sources of the United Grand Lodge of England or the sources of mainstream Masonry in America, we're going to lead ourselves astray in a lot of cases, right?
I will agree.
So I'm saying this because sometimes, again, Coyle's encyclopedias reference or Mackey's jurisprudence. Now, as far as American Freemasonry is concerned, Mackey, his jurisprudence applies to America for the most part.
Correct.
With Britain, they already have their own thing going on. They have their own big publishing company, which is Lewis, right? Lewis Masonic Publishing Company. That's who publishes the majority of books for United Grand Lodge of England.
Brother Freemason Unlocked, I'm gonna say this here. Not to, I am cutting you off, but it's not to be disrespectful. But I'm gonna answer something somebody just posted. They said Black ancient free and accepted Masons is not Black Masonry. And I'm gonna say this here. When you say that Black ancient free and accepted Masons are not Black Masons, you're denying who you are, period. And you can go anywhere you want to go in this world. Skin color is Black, brother. And when they look at you, they look at you as a Black Mason, period. Now, whatever title you want to put behind it. But tonight's show is saying, and it's dedicated to Jones and his life, okay? And we'll, and if you are part of any of the ancient Freemasons that may have a connection to a general grand, you are Black, ancient, free, and accepted Mason, period, bar none. So I just wanted to put that out to you, okay? So you can say whatever you want to say. You can go wherever you want to go. But when you have when you have a General Grand Masonic Congress behind you, as far as your recognition is concerned, you are Black, ancient, free, and accepted Masons, period. Now, Freemason Unlocked, you go ahead, bruh.
Okay, so now with Black, ancient, free, and accepted Masons, get that, for the brothers, get that out of your mind that the United Grand Lodge of England is the authority of Freemasonry.
Thank you.
Get that out of your head, and I'm gonna break a little bit of this down. When you go into Masonic history as far as Europe is concerned, right? We're not going as far back as ancient Egypt. We're talking about ancient free and accepted Masons, right?
Right.
Okay. With this European style of Freemasonry, so to speak. The oldest records go back to Scotland as far as Europe is concerned.
Right.
I'm mentioning this for a reason, because this is the Masonic Research Channel. If you refer to the United Grand Lodge of England, they have their own website, they have their own publications, etc., meaning their own books, right? And they'll present Masonry from their perspective. If you, let's say you go on ugle.uk.org, that's the official website of the United Grand Lodge of England. They'll give you a timeline. They'll tell you Masonic history from their perspective. And from their perspective, Freemasonry goes back to 1717. From their perspective, right?
Right.
They're telling you that these four lodges, as we all know, right? The Goose and Gridiron, Crown Lodge, Rum and Grapes Lodge, and the Apple Tree Tavern Lodge started the Grand Lodge of England in 1717. And that your organization has to go back to them. This is what they tell you.
Now, brother Freemason Unlocked, I haven't seen where they have said publicly or in writing that your organization have to go. It has been that your organization have to go back to them by other Masons, but they have never said that.
Yeah, their official statement is this, that you have to trace your lineage back to them, or the Grand Lodge of Ireland, or the Grand Lodge of Scotland, right? This is what they say. That's their official statement. You have to trace your lineage back to them, the Grand Lodge of Ireland, or the Grand Lodge of Scotland.
Okay, got you. Okay.
This is what they say. Now, as Masonry is concerned, the oldest lodge records, as far as European Masonry, go back to Scotland, not the Grand Lodge of England. Not at all.
Okay.
If you ask them, like, listen, who started, right? Like, for example, in some of the episodes of John D. Jones Research and other Masonic channels,
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear the claim made that a Grand Lodge has to be started by 3 lodges, right?
Right.
Like, this is a landmark, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as Masonic history, before there were Grand Lodges, there were lodges.
Correct.
The first Grand Lodge in history,
Mm-hmm.
real Masonic history, is the Grand Lodge of England.
Okay.
There's no Grand Lodges before that. None,
okay.
Right?
Right. But
now,
there were lodges.
If you look at the Grand Lodge of England, the United Grand Lodge of England, like how they teach Freemasonry,
Mm-hmm.
there used to be no innovation in Freemasonry, right?
No what?
Innovation.
Okay. Okay.
There's supposed to be no innovations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Grand Lodge system is an innovation in Freemasonry.
Mm.
How do we know this? Before 1717, but there were Masonic lodges.
Right.
Right? And we can prove this very easily for the Black Ancient Phoenix Masons, who you should go to the Grand Lodge of Scotland's website. You can Google these things. Look up the Grand Lodge of England. Just look up the Grand Lodge of England. What is their website? You'll be directed to that website through Google. You can look up the Grand Lodge of Ireland. Google it. Go to their website, right?
Mm-hmm.
Freemasonry in Scotland existed before it existed in England.
Okay.
The old ritual manuscript, right? The ritual manuscript that deals with the ceremony is called the Edinburgh manuscript.
Okay.
It dates back to the early 1600s. Edinburgh, you spell it Edinburgh. Edinburgh manuscript. You can look it up on the internet. It'll pop up. Right? The only ritual manuscript that's on record in the archives of Freemasonry. This is in the early 1600s. Before the Grand Lodge of England started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oldest Masonic lodge exists today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a discrepancy. There's the school lodges, but it's either Edinburgh Lodge number 1 of Scotland under the Grand Lodge of Scotland, right?
Okay.
Or Kilwinning Lodge number 0 under the Grand Lodge of Scotland. These are the 2 oldest Masonic lodges in existence in the world before the Grand Lodge of England started. Now, when you start looking into Scottish Masonic history, you'll see that, of course, there was no Grand Lodge in Scotland until 1736.
Okay. I'm listening.
There was no Grand Lodge in Scotland until 1736. And the only reason that Scotland started a Grand Lodge was to prevent the Grand Lodge of England taking over Masonry in Scotland.
Okay.
The Grand Lodge of England started in 1717. Their whole agenda was to monopolize Freemasonry.
That is true. That is absolutely their ideal was to monopolize Freemasonry. Yes.
Right. And we're going to get into this. This is what the agenda of the Grand Lodge of England was when it started in 17. Certain research now is telling us that maybe it was a few years later, up on the exact dates, but the Grand Lodge of England, their agenda was to monopolize Freemasonry, control it overall. But the proof is in the pudding. The oldest Masonic ritual manuscripts go back, as far as the form of Freemasonry that we practice today, goes back to Scotland.
Okay, yes.
The oldest ancient charges, rules of Freemasonry go back to Scotland. They're called the Shaw Statutes. They date back to 1598.
Okay.
Brothers can look this up. I'll post it too on the channel if anything.
All right, please do.
I'll put it there, link, so brothers can look it up or whatever.
Right.
So in that time, we're talking about the late 1500s through the early 1600s. In Scotland, there was no Grand Lodges. The Grand Lodge system didn't exist. So how were lodges created? Lodges were created through lodges chartering lodges. This is a historical fact of Freemasonry. Lodges created other lodges. Now, when the Grand Lodge of England started in 1717, history tells us there were these four lodges. They came together, they had a meeting, and they agreed to form the Grand Lodge of England, right?
Right.
That was formed. They started chartering other lodges. Like, okay, we're going to create new lodges. Now, there were other lodges in England, not just those four lodges.
Correct.
For example, there was the Grand Lodge of, not the Grand Lodge, the York Lodge of York, England, right?
Right.
In, what's the year? 1726. You could look this up in books like, don't use this as your own reference, but you'll find it there. You could look up, what's the book? A Dictionary of Freemasonry by Robert McCoy.
So brother Freemason Unlocked, what would be considered, what would regular lineage? Because we all hear this thing about lineage. What would be considered regular lineage?
This is exactly what I'm going to right now.
Oh, okay.
History, so brothers know what is so-called lineage, right?
Right, okay.
And we'll deal with that more in detail. But I'm saying this so brothers have a clear understanding as far as even with Black Ancient Free and Accepted Masonry, with what Brother John G. Jones did, what he understood as far as Freemasonry. He wasn't a fool, bro. He understood Masonry very well.
Okay.
He understood Freemasonry from the front of his hand to the back of his hand. He wasn't a fool, right? So, and going back to the Grand Lodge of England, in 1726, the Lodge of York, right, in York, England, which is considered a time immemorial lodge.
Right.
Doesn't exist anymore, but back then it still existed. 1726 had they had a lot of problems with the Grand Lodge of England. Right?
Okay.
They declared themselves a de facto Grand Lodge.
They did.
Which is to say that we're a regular blue lodge, but we can charter lodges. We're not submitting to the Grand Lodge of England. We're not accepting a charter from you. Your four lodges that started your organization were older than you, and we're still making Masons. We're still doing what we're doing.
Okay.
Right? And the later part of the 1700s, they became known as the Grand Lodge of All England. But they were a de facto Grand Lodge in that they were really only a blue lodge. Right?
Right.
Now, in 1751, this is important Masonic history as far as England is concerned.
So, Brother Freemason Unlocked, I want to let it be known that you have already said that you're going to be posting a link when possible. Right. So if brothers want to go back and see what you're saying, they can. Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right.
So in 1751, right?
Right.
This is dealing with England, not America, right?
Correct, England.
In 1751, Lawrence Dermott, who was an Irish Freemason who came into England, right? Him and his constituents started the ancient Grand Lodge of England.
Okay.
Right? Which in England became known as Ancient Free and Accepted Masons.
All right.
The four-letter lodges. Right? Now, as far as Scotland, remember, like I said, Masonry existed in Scotland longer than it exists
Yes, that is true.
If you go to the Grand Lodge of Scotland's website right now, you'll see that the Masonic order in Scotland is called Ancient Free and Accepted Masons.
Some brother just posted a little while back, brother Freemason Unlocked, that he figured that the brothers who are under the banner of Ancient Free and Accepted Masons here in America should look to Scotland and say, maybe we should build a relationship with them.
Yeah, why not? But we'll get to that.
All right, then, go for it.
If you go to the website of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, it's Ancient Free and Accepted Masons. If you go to the website of Ireland, the Grand Lodge of Ireland, Ancient Free and Accepted Masons. So in this period I'm talking about, the 1700s, all Freemasons were known as Ancient Free and Accepted Masons.
Right.
With the exception of the Grand Lodge of England. Right?
Interesting.
They became known as the Three-Letter Masons.
Okay.
And Accepted Masons. So now, in 1751, there was a brother who was from Ireland named Lawrence Dermott. Him and his constituents, they moved to England, and as they started visiting lodges, they started noticing a lot of innovations, right?
Okay.
And a lot of bullshit. Which
coming from innovation and bullshit. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they started their own Grand Lodge, which was called the Ancient Grand Lodge of England.
Okay.
This is common knowledge in Masonic history, right?
Yes.
So you at that period of time, you had what was called the Ancient Free and Accepted Masons, and the Modern. The Moderns were the Grand Lodge of England. So Lawrence Dermott and his constituents, they were seeing success. They were growing. They were like, listen, man, the Grand Lodge of England is fake. They're making up whatever they want to make up. They're not sticking to the ancient charges.
Right.
They're not jacking them. Right? So when Masonry was coming into America, right? The 1700s we're talking about. Masonry was coming into America, and you had lodges being chartered by all type of organizations. You had lodges in America being chartered by the Three-Letter Masons, which was the Grand Lodge of England. You had Masons being Masonic lodges being chartered by the Four-Letter Masons, which were the Ancient Grand Lodge of England, the Grand Lodge of Scotland, the Grand Lodge of Ireland, and pretty much any other Masonic organization that existed in Europe.
Right.
So, in 1813, as everybody knows, the Grand Lodge of England, the Three-Letter Masons, and the Ancient Grand Lodge of England, the Four-Letter Masons, united into one institution, right?
Right.
Which is now the United Grand Lodge of England.
Correct.
Right? So now let's back up a little bit. Prince Hall, right? Prince Hall, he came into Masonry in the late 1700s, right? We're not going to debate the date because, like you said in the last episode, I think, Brother John Hairston, he published the book Landmarks of Our Fathers.
Correct.
And he did some more thorough research. Debunk a lot of the traditional Prince Hall history.
They did. Now, here's the thing with that, brother Freemason Unlocked. The mere fact that this brother, we don't see eye to eye, John and I, but I respect John. I'll say it publicly. I do. However, with him writing that book, he's no longer a member of Prince Hall. He went mainstream.
Okay.
So it makes me really think, okay, what's really going on? He wrote a book that had direct information. He wrote a book based on facts, not just truth, but facts. And they debunked him like you don't know what.
Right.
And I feel for him. I really do. Now, whether he accepts that or not, that's on him. But I'm just saying that, you know, it shouldn't have went down that way. He didn't get the support that he thought he was going to get when he wrote this
Right.
book, because he went against everything that was already out there. He debunked everything that was already written.
Right.
So it's just to say, you know, when he thought that, hey, I got the support of my jurisdiction, my Grand Lodge, they flipped the strip on him. I'm just saying.
Right. Now, like with him, we have 3 points of our profession: brotherly love, relief, truth. Right.
Right?
Truth, oftentimes, at least with the social club style Freemasonry, is neglected. Right.
Correct.
The brotherly love, yeah, is focused on. The relief, which is charity, etc., is focused on. But the truth is neglected.
Uh-huh.
So the brother, he was seeking truth as far as Masonic history. Now, he was a little hard-headed, which is cool, right?
Yes.
Because when you're seeking truth, you don't want to accept whatever's coming to you. Look it up.
Yep.
So he looked up a lot of things, and he found what he found. Now, going back to that time period, as I stated, the late 1700s,
Uh-huh.
just to keep it general, right?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Cool. Right?
Uh-huh.
Theory is that, okay, in 1775, Prince Hall and 14 of his constituents, they were freed black men. They were initiated by the Lodge number 441
Mm-hmm.
under the Grand Lodge of Ireland, and they were entered as raised on the same day, and they were given a permit to form African Lodge number 1, right?
Okay.
Now, if you're already thorough, as I'm not saying a regular Mason, but if you're an a well-seasoned Freemason, you know already from studying different Masonic organizations, the idea out of your head that the Grand Lodge of England, their rules and their edicts are to have or be all. That's not the case.
Uh-huh.
It's not. They
Mm-hmm.
started in 1717 or thereabouts, bro.
Well, actually, they have 1778, according to some of their own research.
The Grand Lodge of England, I'm talking about.
Right. That's what I'm saying, too.
Not the Prince Hall.
No, I'm not even talking about Prince Hall. I'm saying now, according to the Grand Lodge of England own research, their own research is saying that it wasn't 1717.
No, I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
That's why I said let's like you said last night, let's keep the dates general.
Okay, all right, got you.
Right? On or about, basically.
Right, okay.
And the traditional history from their official perspective is that they started in 1717. We know that Masonic research lodges have come about and debunked a lot of that. Like, nah, it was a little later than 1717.
Right.
But the point is that brothers have to, especially Black Ancient Phoenix and the Masons, is the same with Caucasian history in general, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We know from going to school things like the Christopher Columbus nonsense. Like, he discovered America. We know that's nonsense, man.
Right.
We have to be more thorough in our research.
Uh-huh.
So using these people as authorities, you don't do your own research, you're gonna fall victim.
Yes, that is true.
So with the whole Prince Hall issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The traditional history is that it was in 1775 what the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts wants to stick to, right?
Correct.
It was in 1775, John Batt, who was the worshipful master of Irish Military Lodge number 441, initiated, passed, and raised Prince Hall and 14 of his constituents, right?
Correct.
And gave them a permit to start African Lodge number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, again, any seasoned Mason who's studying Masonic jurisprudence from different jurisdictions, don't think the Grand Lodge of England's jurisprudence is what's true for everybody. It's not.
Right.
They started later. That's not the have or be all. But anyway, as far as the Grand Lodge of Ireland is concerned, which is the Grand Lodge that John Batt, who allegedly brung Prince Hall into Freemasonry, was
Right.
affiliated with,
Uh-huh.
you can call them. You can go on their website. You can ask questions. They will answer your questions. They're a public institution. This is what Brother John Hairston did. He spoke to the librarian. He spoke to the archivist. He spoke to everybody.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
This is what he did. He didn't
Uh-huh.
go to the books. He made sure he spoke to everybody.
Right.
The rules of the Grand Lodge of Ireland are that a military lodge will not initiate into Freemasonry any civilian.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be in the military profession. You have to be in the military to become a member of a military lodge. That's their rule, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Lodge of Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the Grand Lodge of England. Right?
Go ahead.
Now, if you look at, let's say, a dictionary of Freemasonry by Robert McCoy,
Okay.
third degree, right? Who
Uh-huh.
was an American Freemason.
Mm-hmm.
If you look under the M section of his dictionary / encyclopedia, there's an entry for military lodges, and he'll give you the American rule, the general American rule,
Mm-hmm.
right, as well as the general English rule
Okay.
for military lodges initiating individuals into Freemasonry. And in that section, he'll quote it
Uh-huh.
and tell you that was the rule of the Grand Lodge of England, as well as
I don't know if I move something around here. Okay, go ahead.
right. So you cannot initiate passive raise civilians, bro, who are not in the military profession into a military lodge.
So you're saying that you can't civilians in a military lodge. Did I just see that?
Absolutely. At
Okay.
least with the Grand Lodge of England, that was against their rules.
Okay. But did you know?
Be in the military profession.
But did you know that John Bat on the original documents was listed as the first worshipful master
Right.
for African
I'm
law?
going to get into that.
Okay, all right. Roll it on then. Roll on,
Right.
Cap. Roll on.
So Prince Hall was not in the Irish military, bro. He was not in the Irish military. He was not in the English military.
Uh-huh.
He was not.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. He was not. So the way the history tells it is that, yeah, you know, this Irish military lodge came and initiated these civilians who were pre-black. Come on now.
Uh-huh.
Study history, you'll know that that's bullshit from the rip. Now, when Brother John Hairston did his research, he found that out for himself.
That's true. He did.
He called the Grand Lodge of Ireland, which is still ancient free and accepted Masons. And they said, listen, we have a member in the old days in our role known as John Bat, who was a Mason under our jurisdiction, certainly. Right?
Uh-huh.
But our military lodges didn't initiate civilians. That's against our rules. Right? So
right.
Brother John Hairston, in his book, he has a scanned image of the first record of African Lodge number 1, Prince Hall's Lodge, right?
Uh-huh.
And as you just stated, it has on the top Grandmaster John Bat, right?
It does. It has him listed as
right?
Grandmaster. Yes, it does.
Right? Worshipful Master Prince Hall, right?
Correct.
Et cetera, et cetera. Now, as Brother Jackson who comes on your show?
Yeah, Christopher Jackson, yes.
Right. As he stated, the fact of the matter, like Brother John Hairston realized, is that John Bat basically, it appears, swindled fucking
Prince Hall.
Yeah,
he swindled the 14. He swindled the 14 black brothers.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, like he swindled them basically. Like, here you go, you know, you're the worshipful master. Boom, boom, boom. I took these initiation fees from you.
Ooh, I'm getting this feedback. It's killing me.
Lodge number 1, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm saying this because because Brother Jackson pointed that out, and it's true. As far as the records show, right?
Right.
So at that time, Prince Hall was ancient, free, and accepted Mason, even though it's clandestine, right?
Right.
Because John Bat was ancient, free, and accepted Mason. He was under the Grand Lodge of Ireland.
Correct.
Right?
Uh-huh.
African Lodge number 1 started out as ancient, free, and accepted Mason, without question. Now, eventually, Prince Hall knew white Masons. Don't think he didn't, right?
Right.
Prince Hall was like a prominent type of man at that time.
Yes.
His object was to, I'll say middle class to upper class of white folk. You know?
Uh-huh.
That's what Prince Hall was about. You could look at his pictures, you see where the white wig.
Hold, time out. Though we see is, let's move on. Though let's move from that, because
Right.
I don't think there's a legitimate picture of Prince Hall.
No, we're not saying there's a legitimate.
Oh, okay, all right.
Records show that, and this is another good book for brothers that watch. Get this book. It's a Prince Hall quiz book by brother John A. Walks Jr. or something to that effect, who's a Prince Hall research. He's the Prince Hall Mason who's a research scholar book, because he's just on the matter. Also get brother John Hairston's book, Landmarks of Our Fathers. Get those books because they present you with the research, the affirmation about Prince Hall's history. Right?
Right.
Bottom line is that, yeah, Prince Hall was an abolitionist, but Prince Hall was what you would call the uppity type of a black man in that time. That's what he was.
Okay.
He wasn't Malcolm X. He wasn't one of those type of black brothers.
Uh-huh.
He was networking with a lot of the well-to-do white people. That's what he was doing. So anyway, when he realized that his permit from John Bat was pretty much bogus,
right?
He started to seek a charter, a legitimate charter, to get blacks into Freemasons. Now here's another thing black ancient free and accepted Masons need to know. The mainstream white Masons at this time period we're talking about in America, they didn't accept blacks as being. We're not saying every white Mason thought like this, but the administrative bodies of white lodges didn't accept blacks as being Freemasons.
That's true.
The records exist. That's why I referenced that book. Get that book. It's like $13 maybe. This is why Prince Hall couldn't get initiated. Let's keep it real. He couldn't get initiated because that's what was going on. So when John Bat came to him with the whole situation, he took upon it. He paid him, etc. He went through the degree work. Yeah, the ceremonies. He had the little record or whatever that we just mentioned. And then he noticed it was both. It wasn't recognized, in other words.
Okay.
Right? So he started seeking recognition. That's what Prince Hall started doing. Now, some of his constituents, which are those 14 other brothers, they were traveling abroad, meaning they would go into the United Kingdom, England, right? Scotland, and they would travel. It's not this day and age like brothers think you could take airplanes, bro, and fly in a few hours and get over there.
Right.
Brothers had to take ships, man, to go travel about. So Prince Hall's constituents, they would travel. So when they would travel, they didn't have problems with gaining recognition in England because England allowed blacks to be members of Masonry.
They did. Brother Pine is one of the first, but go ahead.
Blacks to be members of Masonry.
Uh-huh.
Ireland allowed blacks to be members of Masonry, right? They didn't have traveling cards or dues cards back then.
Right.
The dues cards didn't start until after 1826, when this dude William Morgan, the Caucasian Mason from New York, got murdered.
Woo. But see, but see, brother Freemason Unlocked, some say that didn't really happen.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that this is the claim. Like,
that is the claim. That is the claim. Right. But I'm just saying, some say some say that William Morgan,
right,
that didn't really happen. But I will tell you this, and I agree with you. I've agreed with you throughout the show that it wasn't until his death that people started that members of Freemasonry, the dues membership card or passport or that sort of thing, became more of the acceptance amongst Masons.
Yeah. After the William Morgan affair, like I talked about this a little bit in the episode of my channel, Freemasonry Unlocked, the African origins of Freemasonry. After William Morgan allegedly, he disappeared, whatever. He put out the book called Illustrations of Freemasonry, which is an expose, right? Alleging to reveal the ceremonies of the Blue Lodge. Now, the book became a bestseller, right?
It did.
Mind you, in Prince Hall's time, there was no such book, bro, in America.
That's true.
So, Freemasonry strength, a lot of it rested upon your knowledge of the ceremony. So, anyway, after the William Morgan affair, certain individuals were brought to trial for that, whatever, and there was a whole scandal in America amongst the Caucasian Freemasons for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, the Boston Convention, this is where the different mainstream Caucasian jurisdictions started meeting up to standardize the ritual of Freemasonry, right?
Uh-huh.
So, they could prevent individuals infiltrating their lodges, right?
Right.
So they produced a book that's known as Webb's Monitor, Freedom Thomas Smith Webb, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, Brother Shaheed, you're right. Brother Harrison was on the Masonic Roundtable at the time, and he was a Prince Hall Mason at the time. He was on that channel, if I'm not mistaken. But Brother Sharon Harrison, Brother Harrison is Brother John Harrison is no longer a Prince Hall Freemason in the state of Seattle. Now, he's not. From what I understood and from what I understand and overstand is the mere fact that he's moved on and his membership now lies with the mainstream Grand Lodge of Seattle. That's where that's at.
Yeah, plus we know the brother.
Okay? That's a fact. I've actually talked to him, and that's where he's at now.
Right, and he got, like you just stated, brother, he got a lot of backlash behind that book, man.
Oh, he got his ass kicked behind that book.
They didn't accept that. So, going back to the William Morgan affair, so in the late 1800s, the mainstream jurisdictions, the Caucasian jurisdiction, mainstream in America, they ritual. That's the standardization of the ritual is known as Webb's Freemason's Monitor by Thomas Smith Webb, which was published in the late 1800s. Anybody can order that book to this day. It's a ciphered book. It's a good Masonic monitor. It's not like Duncan's or any of that, which is illegal. That shows, different signs and this and that, which is no jurisdiction really approves of. Anyway, at that time, news cards started to be issued. That's when that came into creation. After the William Morgan affair, because William Morgan put this book out, and that made it easier for Cowans, right? Or fake Masons to read the books and start traveling and infiltrating lodges.
Mm-hmm.
So they could sit there, they could give you skins, they could give you words, they could give you passwords and say, yeah, I'm a Mason, but they're really not. So this is why the mainstream started to institute the traveling cards at that time, or the dues card, right?
Right.
So that members are in good standing and, they could visit lodges. So, prior to, no, let's not say prior, after this,
Mm-hmm.
we have Prince-Hall Freemasonry developing, right? Prince-Hall Masonry is its own thing, right?
Right.
Now, Prince-Hall, I think this was mentioned in the last episode. African Lodge number 459.
Uh-huh.
They did 18, or was it 18?
1847.
Somewhere around there.
1847.
Okay, so Prince-Hall was dead at that time, right?
That's when they made their, yeah, that's when they made their independence was 1847.
Okay, so Prince-Hall was dead by that time, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, even after Prince-Hall's death, African Lodge number 459, we all know, as far as history is concerned, they weren't receiving communications from the Grand Lodge of England,
Right.
right? They were paying their dues, stuff like this. They weren't receiving communication. So, since they weren't receiving communication, remember, Black Freemasonry existed in the colonies, man, aside from Prince-Hall. This is where individuals get it twisted.
Well, you know what? We can say that. Here's the thing. Here's what I like to always say, because it was pointed out to me. Yes, we can say that, but until you have documented proof, then that's something different.
Right, and now here's the thing. We do have documented proof.
Okay, then.
Documented proof? All we have to do is go into the Prince-Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts own records, right?
Okay.
The African Lodge number 459, they were giving dispensation. They gave a dispensation to a lodge in Pennsylvania.
They did.
And they gave this is in the early 1800s. I would have to go into I have a book here dealing with Prince-Hall. That's legit. They gave a dispensation to this lodge in Pennsylvania, and they gave a dispensation to another lodge in Rhode Island, right?
Uh-huh.
And these were Black Masonic lodges that were independent. Now, I'll tell you this. This is a reference tool that you can look up that'll give you more insight, and the book is called Freemasons for Dummies.
Okay.
Brother Christopher Holdap, right? Who's a past master under the Grand Lodge of Indiana.
All right.
It's a well-known book. He has a whole section dealing with Prince-Hall Masonry.
Okay. I've heard of the book. I definitely heard of the book.
But I'm just citing that off the top. Since I don't have the booklet that I'm talking about ready to hand. But,
okay.
African Lodge number 459, they were giving dispensation or charters, rather, to two lodges in Rhode Island and in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's a fact of history, right? Because they weren't receiving communication from the Grand Lodge of England.
Okay.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, in the time that you state, they declared their independence officially. They published it. Right? In the Boston newspapers, they said, listen, we're African Grand Lodge now.
Mm-hmm.
Independent of any other Masonic body, etc. Right?
Right.
Now, in 1813, which is prior to them declaring their independence, that's when the United Grand Lodge of England was formed. Right?
Okay. I'm following you so far.
Right. So now, when African Grand Lodge starts, which subsequently became known as Prince-Hall Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, right?
Uh-huh.
Originally, it's African Grand Lodge. They're really just one lodge, bro. They're not
They were not a Grand Lodge. Absolutely.
Yeah. They're one lodge, bro. They're African Lodge, that's it. And then they had their had the Rhode Island Lodge and the Pennsylvania Lodge, right? Who were established independently of African Lodge.
So I'm going to correct the date. I'm going to correct the date real quick. The Declaration of Independence. Right? The Declaration for Independence for Prince Hall, as we know it, was in 1827.
Yeah, 1827. Just at 47. I figured that, but I didn't want to. Okay.
No, it was 18. It was June 26, 1857. It was African Lodge number 459. That was the lodge declaring its independence.
Right.
Okay, the lodge only. Okay.
Right.
All right. Just want to clear it up. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So now, subsequently, they become a Grand Lodge in their own right.
Okay.
This is what they did. So now that happened, and at the same time, throughout the United States of America, bro, you have a bunch of independent black lodges not affiliated with Prince Hall.
That's true.
For example, let's say New York, Boyer Lodge, which is Prince Hall now, but Boyer Lodge was its own Grand Lodge in New York.
Yes.
That's why I said get the book. For any brother, just get the book, Prince Hall Quiz book by John A. Wilkes Jr. Just get the book. It'll give you all the information in detail where you can look it up from the lodges themselves. So, anyway, there were a bunch of black lodges outside of what African Grand Lodge started doing was trying to get these other independent black lodges to affiliate with them.
Okay.
And they were pretty successful in doing that. Why? Because a lot of the black lodges, not all, but a lot of them were like, oh yeah, African Lodge number 459. Oh yeah, they have a charter from the Grand Lodge of England. That makes us legit. Now, some of the black lodges weren't with that. They didn't care. Like,
okay, so here's a black lodge that was around that time. You had Union Lodge. Union Lodge, number 4, 1828. You had Harmony Lodge, number 5, 1828. So those are just two of the Grand Lodges that was around during that time.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing brothers must understand, that's why I said just refer to that book. And like I said, I'll cite other references in detail in the comments section. This way it's easier for brothers to access. A lot of the black lodges, bro, were not even dealing with Prince Hall, bro. Like, meaning that they weren't started by Prince Hall and his constituents.
Okay.
There were black Masons coming into America, bro, from England, from Scotland, etc., coming out here and doing what they were doing.
So I'm going to read this to you. To you. It says in 1845, okay, in 1845, Boyer's Lodge, the lodge that you were talking about, right?
I mentioned Boyer's Lodge.
Right. It sought recognition from the regular Grand Lodge of New York, the Grand Secretary of which wrote to Boston to ascertain the standards of Boyer's Lodge in its own organization, and was informed by Charles W. Moore, Grand Secretary of the regular Grand Lodge of Massachusetts, that African Grand Lodge refused to exhibit its records or give out information claiming to be entirely independent of white lodges. Grandmaster Hilton, however, disclosed that there had long existed a dispute between his organization and Boyer's Lodge.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mentioned them because that's a prominent New York lodge.
And that lodge was there, but
affiliated subsequently.
Right.
But and its organization had nothing to do with Prince Hall.
It was
its own thing. So you have to start asking yourself that question, like, hold on, was Prince Hall the only black Mason that lodges? No, man.
I'd never seen it from that point of view. But I'm reading it right here now, and it's funny that I'm seeing it like that, you know?
Yeah. There was plenty of black Masonic lodges. The point I'm making is there was plenty of Masonic black lodges all throughout the Union that were not involved with Prince Hall, period. Now, when Prince Hall's organization declared their independence, this is after his death, what they did was they like, listen, let's start trying to amalgamate the different independent black lodges. Let's try to bring everything together as one thing. Now, the reason that they were successful, for the most part, is that, remember, Prince Hall had that, he's dead by this time, but his successors still have the document.
Right.
Charter from the Grand Lodge of England. Stating that they were regular lodge. So they were doing their own thing. Even though England wasn't countenancing what they were doing, they were just doing it anyway. They're
right.
Like, all right, let's do us. Let's unite these lodges, etc., etc., and that's how the whole Prince Hall brand really came to be. And as we know, if when they succeeded in doing that, like, you know, creating their own union of lodges and grand lodges, they're what's now known as, well, they became what is now known as PHO, Prince Hall Origin. Then that thing fell apart. I mean, it still exists, but certain lodges decided to retract from that and became PHA, Prince Hall Affiliation.
Correct.
So now when we're talking about John G. Jones, Brother John G. Jones, we're talking about the late 1800s.
Okay.
Brother John G. Jones, of course, was a high official in Prince Hall Masonry, right?
Right.
In Chicago, in Illinois. That goes without saying. Now, Brother John G. Jones, he would. You have to think in terms of, again, like I said, Freemasonry, its laws, etc. There were a lot of schisms in Freemasonry. That's not unique to John G. Jones.
It's not. It's really, really not. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's not. That's why and a few minutes ago when I was talking about the 3-letter Masons and the 4-letter Masons in England, right? And the different schisms that were happening in white Masonry. John G. Jones' whole position was, he was a leader, man. He felt, listen, I'm a leader. Like when we talk about Brother Albert Pike, Brother John G. Jones, he had a lot of correspondence with Brother Albert Pike. Him and Brother Albert Pike were cool. Why? Because Brother John G. Jones was one of the heads of the Scottish Rite amongst the black community. This is a fact. It's a historical fact. Brother John D. Jones just had his little beef with certain individuals in Prince Hall Masonry, and he decided that he was going to do him. He was going to start his own lodges, etc., which he did. And when he broke away, that's what it was. He just so now doing.
Right.
They put him up on charges. Those charges being that he was he was starting his own lodges, whatever. And when everything hit the fan, it took several years. When it hit the fan, they expelled him. Like, you know, listen, this guy's, you know, we're expelling him. He's making clandestine Masons. He's a rebel to the plan of Prince Hall Masonry. But by that time, he had enough of his followers, and he just did what he did, which is
he certainly did. Yeah, I would agree.
And when led by men, stop thinking that all these men are infallible that run the organization. They're not infallible. They're men like you or me or anybody else.
Correct.
So, Brother John G. Jones went and he moved his movement. That's it. Which was Black Ancient Friend Accepted Masons. Now, let's say New York. I'm from New York. can say the two Grand Lodge, Hiram Grand Lodge, which is in Harlem. It still exists. It's a big temple building, like you would see with Prince Hall Masonry. It's on 124th Street and 7th Avenue off of 125th Street. He started that.
Okay.
It's called Hiram Grand Lodge. You know, they have a bunch of subordinate lodges. And King Solomon Grand Lodge, most worshipful King Solomon Grand Lodge in New York.
Right.
John D. Jones, that's part of what he did in New York. This is in the late 1800s.
Correct.
Right? This is when he had his schism with Prince Hall Masonry. He did a lot, bro. He was international basis.
So I'm gonna go to this. A question came up. It says, he started them because of what? Because he was upset, he wasn't elected or re-elected into position. I'm gonna say this. In 1895, 1896, when John G. Jones became the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander for the Southern and Western Masonic jurisdiction of the ancient, free, and accepted Scottish Rite Mason for the 33rd and last degree, what he did, he incorporated that Supreme Council. That was a legitimate Supreme Council. Now, did he become the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander? In my own opinion, yes. Does records show he became the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander? In my own opinion, yes. However, here's what clicked down. Thornton A. Jackson, just as John G. Jones was like, hey, it's about to go down. So whatever happened between him and Thornton A. Jackson, you got to remember, Jones was his lieutenant, and Thornton A. Jackson was the most puissant sovereign Grand Commander. So when Jones and Thornton had their disagreement, whatever it was, Jones, being who he was, felt, hey, you know what, this election happened. According to the records I have, John won. According to the records that PHA have, he lost. We wasn't there. We wasn't.
Right.
All we have is records from both sides that said they won. And this is where we're at in 2018. Now, all I can say is this. If you black Masons can look at white Masons and say, hey, look, we all good because you recognize me. If you can do that for them, out of all the stuff that they put us through as a people and say it's cool, and then you can look at Jones and say, well, you know what, he's bogus, he's this and he's that, and wave it as bye-bye and say, we would never consider you being a Mason. That's foolishness towards your own people. That's my opinion, because you know what? We're all in the same boat. You can't take away the hue of the skin, brother. We all in the same boat. I'm just saying, I need to say that because some people feel because Master may see you differently than anybody else, then you consider yourself differently. So I just want to make it plain and clear. We all in the same boat. You may continue, my brother.
Yeah, but just keep that in mind, man. Like everything I said pertaining to Masonic history.
Go for it.
Freemasonry is the organizational structure is made by men. You got to remember, period, bottom line. This is why when I went through the history of Masonry, like with the Grand Lodge of England, they tell you a bunch of nonsense. If you study it, like they say, oh, they're not the authority, bro. Masonry in England, as far as Europe, Scotland is much older. Like I said, I'll provide the links. This is a fact. There was no Grand Lodges prior to the Grand Lodge of England establishing themselves. There were regular lodges. In England, it was like that. I mean, not England, Scotland, it was like that for a long time. And they chartered regular lodges, chartered other lodges.
Correct.
That's it. So, with the whole John D. Jones situation, that's what it is. It's like the Thornton Jackson perspective of it, you understand John G. Jones' perspective. Now, John G. Jones wasn't, again, I'm not trying to disrespect any Freemason, but he wasn't a little guy in the Black Masonic.
Yes, but this puts us against each other when we talk like that.
Yeah, organization. He was a past deputy grand master in Illinois, right? And he's a past grand secretary.
Correct.
He had influence, and he was a lawyer. So when
Correct.
he started his movement, he was going to court. He was doing what he had to do. Like, basically, I'm taking these individuals to war, so to speak. Started my thing, and I'm doing what I do. Who are you to say that I can't do what I'm doing? That's it. Simple and plain. So he did what he did, and even today in the United States of America, Black ancient free and accepted Masons are widespread. All 50 states. Now, if you just read books that come from the Caucasian persuasion, white or PHA, you'll miss a lot of that because you're not in the field. But if you're in the field, like I said in New York, the majority of Grand Lodges in New York, there's the State Grand Lodge out here, which is on 23rd and 6th, and then there's PHA on 155th, right?
Right. And here's the fact, brother, Freemason Unlocked. Here's something we really need to think of. Yes, we do need to push past this. Yes, I'm going to say it again. Yes, we need to push past this whole thing, period.
No, that's a definite, but brothers still need to be educated. For the brothers that are really seeking truth, just like this channel, it's a research channel. When your idea is that the authority on Freemasonry is the United Grand Lodge of England, you haven't really studied Masonry thoroughly.
You haven't, and that's the thing we have to tell brothers all the time. England is not the authority on Freemasonry. I'm going to say that again. England is not the authority on Freemasonry, period.
Yeah, they're not. And even now, like I think I mentioned this in the comments last night. Right now, if you take the state Grand Lodges, mainstream, right, in the state, the ones that have treaties with PHA, Prince Hall affiliation,
right, they
allow for the states that do have a treaty, right? That's all 50 states minus about 9 states right now.
Okay.
For the most part, those are the southern states that are bona fide racists, right?
You said bona fide racists. Yes, sir.
They're bona fide racists. The majority of those states that have a treaty with PHA, they allow dual membership as far as their members. So let's say New York. I'm in New York. If you're a member of a daughter lodge of the State Grand Lodge of New York, mainstream, you can have dual membership in a Prince Hall Lodge. PHA.
Well, as far as I know of, California don't allow dual membership.
Now, here's the thing, though. Check it. Now, let's say you're a member of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of the state of New York, PHA, right?
Okay.
You cannot have dual membership. None of the PHA Grand Lodges allow their members to have dual membership in a mainstream Grand Lodge. Now, why is this the case?
You think it's a membership game? You think it's a numbers game?
Absolutely. Why? Because Caucasian persuasion, right, which is the mainstream Grand Lodges, they know that if you, let's say you're Prince Hall PHA, you could have dual membership with them, right? PHA, they're not allowing it because they're like, damn, now our members could have intervisitation with the mainstream, right?
Right.
But we don't want to allow our members that prerogative because they're going to figure very easily that, what the fuck am I PHA for? I just might as well be mainstream.
Right.
And PHA will die out, which is dying out.
So you think, now hear this clearly. So what you're saying is that there's a method to the madness for recognition.
Absolutely. It's called integration, bro. So right now, and I don't want to throw nobody's name out there.
Right.
I'm cool with certain PHA brothers, but I can tell you practically in New York, it's PHA brothers that are like, dang, I'm having problems, man. There's a couple lodges out here that are prosperous, PHA lodges in New York. But they're like, damn, I'm being prevented from traveling to other jurisdictions.
Oh, now you know I know that story, right? You know we're in the same group. You know I know that story.
Yeah, there's a bunch of brothers like that having that problem.
Right.
And this is why I mentioned in the comments in the last episode. Go to any Prince Hall affiliation website. You could go to the PHA New York website. And their slogan right now is protect the legacy, meaning Prince Hall, protect the legacy, promote the brand. Because they don't want to die out. Now, a lot of
I'm going to repeat that. You said protect, let me see.
Protect the legacy.
You saying
the legacy, which is Prince Hall.
Legacy.
How we see a lot of the knuckleheads, right?
Right.
That are in PHA. Not all. There's very good brothers in the organization, but overall, the knuckleheads that try to disrespect brothers in the Black Masonic community who are not PHA. They'll blatantly try to disrespect them.
Okay.
Because it's a survival thing. So now we have to remember this. I don't want to be politically incorrect, but I'm going to just say it how it is. House Negro mentality.
Ooh.
It's those who feel, yeah, I'm in good with the Caucasian persuasion, the mainstream Masons. Yeah, I'm good with them. I'm recognized, blah, blah, blah. And these other black brothers, right, who ain't PHA, they not like us, man. They something else. That's what it is, bro. So that's what happens. Period. But any brother, I'm just speaking from New York. You can go to New York, go to 155th.
So I'm going to say this, like I said the other night, and we at an hour and 33 minutes, and I think that's a pretty good time. I'm going to say this like I said last night. PHA, PHO, International, Modern Free, Ancient Free and Accepted Masons are not going anywhere. They're not. The ideal is for us to recognize or to understand or overstand who we are in this thing we call Freemasonry. And understand that if we do what we're supposed to do, we'll be so much better off doing it. But here's the thing I find, is that we're so much at odds with each other over the small stuff. It ain't even big stuff. We're talking about shit that happened 120 some years ago. Okay? But the leadership within these organizations don't step up to the plate. They don't. I would say this, and I'm speaking purely on the information I have as far as my jurisdiction is concerned. We have foreign communications. We have foreign recognition. Okay? The ideal is for me personally is to extend that or get other Grand Lodges on that same tip. And when you do that, you don't have to look for nobody else. Because then what happens is that you are able to travel in foreign countries and receive master wages as such. The fact of the matter is that we who are Black Masons, period, regardless of jurisdiction, has not yet understood the mere fact that we work. If we would choose to work together, we would be better. But because of our mentality, that slave mentality that most of us have, It's not going to happen. You may continue.
Yeah, so in light of what you, in line with what you were just saying there, like I tell the PHA brothers that I deal with, listen, bro, you know, I'm going to mention the book again, A Principal Quiz book. Get that book for anybody who watches. It's a book, read it, study. Is evidence there, references, minutes from various Grand Lodges of the Caucasian persuasion, mainstream Freemasonry. And they tell you blatantly, like a Negro, right? It's crazy. A Negro cannot be a Mason. They're savage. They're not a man.
That's
you know
true.
What I'm saying?
That's true. It is. It's in their minutes that they have said that. Yes, it's true.
This is unmasonic, bro. This is unmasonic. So,
unmasonic to who?
Look at the
Wait a minute.
Leadership.
Wait a minute.
Right?
Unmasonic to who, Brother Freemason Unlock? Unmasonic to who?
Any real Freemason, because Masonry teaches you in the ceremony universally that Masonry is about the brotherhood of man, bro. Period. Period. You would have to be a straight ignorant bigot to think that if I'm black or I'm white, just off the strength of me being a certain ethnicity, I'm superior. That's bullshit. There's no evidence to that scientifically, man. There's no evidence to that. That's ignorant.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say this. I can agree with you. I can agree with you. However, when you're dealing with hurt people, and we are truly dealing with people who have been hurt, and they don't even realize they've been hurt. When you can accept those who look like you to be considered Masons, even if they're not part of your jurisdiction, you're a hurt person. It's not based on paperwork. A lot of, well, your paperwork ain't right. That sounds like some slave shit to me. Anytime you could tell another black man that your paperwork ain't right, based upon somebody's ideology of what paperwork should be, that's a slave mentality to me. But however, go ahead.
Right. And look, and in line with what you're saying, this is why I say with the PHA brothers that I deal with, for the most part, when you know that this is what these individuals are upon, I don't care about the new lineup of officers or the lineup of officers for the last 20 years. They're telling you, like, listen, our organization has been saying this for the past 270 years, right?
Right.
About blacks.
Period.
Now,
about blacks, look, period.
Right, I'm just saying as far as the Caucasian persuasion of the Masonic organization, right?
Right.
The social club style Masonry. We've been saying this about y'all for the past 270 years, right? In America, the social club Masonry, Caucasian persuasion.
Correct.
Now it's all good. We're different, right? We're different. You're good, and you'll accept that, right?
Right.
You will accept that.
But see, that's the part. That's the part that really gets me.
You will accept that.
How can you deal with 200 and some years of bullshit, and then turn around and they say, "Oh, we cool now," and then you accept that? I can't grab that. You could say, "Hey, look, 270 years or more, we've been like saying that you ain't nothing." And then all of a sudden we change our rules, and they do. We change our rules to clearly say that, hey, you know what, you cool with me now. And then most of us, I'm not going to say all of us, most of us accept the fact that they have said it. Like, oh, they say we cool, so we cool. No, I was cool before you said that.
Right. Now check it. Now, in addition to that, now you accept that, and that's one thing. And then you say that for the black Masons, right?
Right.
That are not PHA, now they're your enemies. Now, mind you, in the midst of all that 200 and some years, I'm talking about it just as far as the social club, Caucasian persuasion, Masonry in America.
Right.
All of y'all was considered clandestine, bro. And that's not just that, like, I'm vegan, bro. Puerto Ricans, Native Americans, whatever. All of us is considered clandestine in that whole period, right? All of us. It didn't matter, bro, whether you was Prince or whether you was whatever you was, Black, Ancient, Free, Accepted Masons, whatever.
Right.
So now they accept you, quote unquote, and now you're going against your black brother. You're going against your brown brother. You're a house Negro, bro, straight up. So nobody's gonna, not no real man is gonna respect you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not disrespecting nobody, because there's PHA brothers that are good dude.
Right.
You a house Negro, you a coward, you're less than a man, bro. That's what you accept. Period. Bottom line. Because a whole lot of that division was a part of that equation, man. A whole lot of that division.
Okay, so brother, somebody post, they said time change. Well, in my personal opinion,
don't change, bro, because remember, nothing changes overnight.
That's true.
Nothing changes overnight.
That's true.
For the past 200 some years, man, you had the PHA division, right? The PHO division. This is before 1994, bro. PHA and PHO ain't new. That's old.
Correct.
You had the PHA division, PHO division, Black Ancient Free and Accepted Masons, internationals, all of that.
So
right?
what you're saying? So let me see if I'm understanding that right. So what you're saying is that if there should be any healing, it should have been healing with us first.
Yeah, because you're a man, bro.
Okay.
Even if you're a white man, bro.
Okay, gotcha.
You have, and this is real talk, bro. In New York, with the Grand Lodge in New York, you have certain white Masons that's like, damn, we would even probably be willing to accept Black Ancient Free and Accepted Masons as Masons. Bro, if you're a man, period, and then you say, oh yeah, they accepting, but now what is your problem with your brother? You accepting an institution, and I'm not over exaggerating it, bro. You're accepting an institution that has persecuted, bro, your people. In fact, bro, persecuted your people, bro, hung your people, all that. Even in the Caucasian persuasion of social club Masonry. It's not made up, it's facts. This is why, like, when y'all talk about Rosewood, that's a factual story, too. It's factual history. You accept these individuals who perpetrated these atrocities, bro, against your people. And now that you get accepted by them because they, since 1994.
Well, the fact of the matter is...
And you against...
Hold up, Brother Freemason. Did they really change? Or is it a ploy? Because look, check this out. I'm going to say this here. Prince Hall, you did not need recognition from England or nobody else. You didn't. You felt that you may have needed it, but you didn't need it. As a matter of fact, let the truth be told, they needed recognition from you. That's my own personal opinion. I'm just saying. I would say this, that you didn't need their help. You didn't need nothing from them. They needed you. And now that you may have dual membership and your members get the chance to go see those beautiful Masonic lodges and temples, and you can't say that they ain't beautiful and you can't say that they ain't nice. We've all been there. You may begin to lose some membership because they got the money and wealth and they got the influence. I'm just saying. Sometimes we run into the master's house and that shit is on fire and you leave your house and your house become crumbled.
Look, and this is why you see PHA brothers now. That's why I mentioned that whole issue of dual membership. Think about it. Really sit and think about it. Have logic. You have PHA brothers now that's going into the mainstream. Like, nah, I'd rather go to the mainstream. I get dual membership.
Right.
I could go to mainstream lodges and I could go to Caucasian lodge. I could do all of that just being under the mainstream. So, you know, the whole point is that, bro, when you take a man and that's his thinking pattern, like, nah, this is another black man. He's a Mason. Remember, bro, the Black Masonic tradition Prince Hall. There's books like Freemasons for Dummies by Christopher Holdap. There's a whole section that talks about Freemasonry in the black community. And he's like, oh, you know, bogus masonry has plagued the black community. You know, it's an epidemic, basically.
And you know what? That's going to be my next video, bro. What is bogus Freemasonry? That's I have to go there only because we always relate in the United States. We always relate this Freemasonry people who are Masons.
Bro. That's what I said, bro. So when you take dudes who have that mentality, I'm not saying what you could do, but from my perspective, you know what they are, and you know at the same time, like, you know what the proper agenda is. You can't save everybody. If that's how y'all want to live, you know, that's how you gonna live. You know, when the evolution happens, you're gonna stay in your boat. You're gonna fade out because you don't see it for what it is. So when you start going against your black, it's hilarious, bro. Like, you start going against your own community, your own brothers who've been in Masonry, bro, before y'all made that treaty. And this is why I mentioned in the history, where a lot of PHA's membership overall and PHO came from the Black Ancient Free and Accepted Mason movement. There was a bunch of black Masons growing in America outside of what Prince Hall was doing.
Right, right.
But these fools, goes back to individuals being ignorant. Remember, they read whatever the hell the Grand Lodge of England gives them in a book, and they accept it as law. And it's the same thing with American history in general. So this is why I said the information is there. And on my part, I'll give certain links, you know, in the description so individuals go look it up for themselves. But when you see individuals have that mentality, no, we're good. We're accepting that. Same thing with Brother John Harrison to a degree. I respect the brother, but to a degree, like, bro, are you serious, man? Like, you put so much value on that nonsense, bro. Masonry is a man-made institution, period. And like you said, Brother Tony Hawkins, let's not front. As far as the ceremonies of Masonry are concerned and the landmarks, I know because I was Black Ancient Free and Accepted Mason before I came into Cold Masonry. There's nothing, bro, nothing as far as the modes of recognition, etc., that are really different. Nothing.
Absolutely.
It's the same, bro. It's the same type of, it's the same ritual.
It is. It is truly.
The same ritual, bro, the same teaching. Whether you follow the teachings or whether you neglect the teachings is on you. But this is why I tell these individuals all the time that are in mainstream masonry or pseudo-mainstream masonry, which is like PHA, or quasi-mainstream masonry, because they're not mainstream everywhere. Like, listen, you really think in your mind, man, that when you say that term bogus means to be fake. That's what it means.
Right, right.
So when they're masonry, like if you set in their lodge, you're going to see the same landmarks, bro. You're going to be at home. That's not fake. Fake is something that's fake, bro. Artificial is not real. That's the same thing, bro. It's a misnomer. It's word semantics that they play. So, you know, for them, and for those that are PHA that say, yo, I'm with my brothers, right?
Right.
Like me, I'm Cold Mason now, but I this is real.
It is real.
Follow no type of edicts, bro, that try to tell me, I don't care who it's coming from, that try to tell me something that, you know, this guy's not a Mason, this person not a Mason. If they are Masons, bro, that's stupid.
And this is the important thing. It is very important that brothers, other craft, sisters of the Order of the Eastern Star do their own due diligence and get books, read, do whatever they have to do to educate themselves on Freemasonry. Because let me tell you, from my own personal experience, and outside of these boundaries we call the United States, Masonry is so different.
Right.
And I want brothers who don't travel, leave your boundaries. Leave your lodge and go outside of the boundaries of your council or whatever you want to call it, and you will see Masonry for what it is. Not for what somebody tell you, but for what it is. And that is the beauty of Freemasonry.
That's a fact.
You know. So look, Brother Freemason Unlocked, man, we've been on here almost 2 hours, dog. We've been going at it. So, you know, I really like the show. I really want to kind of keep it at about an hour, but sometimes it gets to be hot. The topic gets to be going, and brothers be like, and sisters be like, hey, y'all need to talk about this some more. You know, so it is my hope that we can always come back and take the topic up again and continue on with the conversation. And like I said, this format right here is open. If you want to call into the show and have a discussion, you're welcome to do it. But here's my thing, and hear me clearly. I'm not going to beg anybody to come on. The invitation is up to you. You know, it's clearly an invitation. So regardless of if you're mainstream, PHO, PHA, modern, free, or international, if I send you an invite and you tell me no, I leave it at that. It ain't complicated, and I ain't trying to make it complicated to nobody. Keep it rolling there, brother Freemason Unlocked.
Yeah, so, you know, with that, much brotherly love to all the brothers that tune in. Always love. And I hope, without question, man, that the brothers that say they're about Masonic unity, the sisters that say they're about Masonic unity, that y'all do that you live it, that you take actual, definite steps that this is a brotherhood. Simple
Absolutely.
as that. You got to draw the line somewhere, just be real with it. And that's all. So.
But see, this is the uniqueness of Freemasonry, is that Freemasonry crosses all boundaries, all races. It really does. The process is how can you as an individual who's part of this great fraternal order, regardless of your jurisdiction, can ascend that? Can you take it higher? Or are you caught up in the board? I want to say certain words. Are you caught up in the boredness of all of the rhetoric that you hear? You're not recognized. You can't go here. You can't do that. Let me tell you, that's a false norma. Is there such a word, Brother Freemason Unlocked? False norma?
Probably it's a misnomer, though, I believe. But yeah, same thing.
You know, I'm just saying, bro. It is just time out.
Right.
And I'm quite sure, just as I enjoy the fraternal order, you do also.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so another thing, though, before I cut out, for the brothers and sisters that watch, like my preference is, you know, to build on Masonic philosophy, to build on our craft, to unfold the mysteries of the order, our teachings. So we could focus on that a lot more, right?
Right.
It would be beautiful. We could really build. You know, we could go in and improve ourselves, evolve ourselves spiritually.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Freemason Unlocked, right, is that is one of the goals in this coming year 19, is that this channel, and I'm going to talk to brothers who are part of Research Lodge number 147,
right,
that we stay focused on education and not necessarily the debate of who's regular and who's irregular. You know, that's where I'm at. You know, most wishful Stringer Grand Lodge. That Grand Lodge is out of Mississippi. That's my state. I'm from Canton, Mississippi, right up the street from Jackson. Say what?
That's PHA, right?
Yeah, that's PHA. That's Prince Hall affiliation. Yes, sir. You know, so my thing is that we who are Masons understand that wherever you go, Wherever you go, you should respect the other gentleman, regardless of their jurisdiction. You should love the sister, period, bar none. Bar none. Take care of your sisters and respect your brothers. Freemason Unlocked, did I lose you?
Nah.
Okay, I just want to make sure you pause for the cause, bro.
Leave these parting words for all the brothers. You know, we meet on the level, we act on the plumb, we part upon the square. Brotherly love, relief, truth. Everybody, hope y'all enjoy your night. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. And with that, I'll be back on soon to build with y'all brothers. And much brotherly love.
Oh, much brotherly love. And as I depart from you tonight, I want to always say, a candle lights another candle. And please, for God's sakes, whatever you do, stay out the bushes and keep your light on. So we out, and I hope you enjoyed another show of the John G. Jones Research Lodge number 147. And if you ever desire to come on this station, you need to just give me inbox me, give me a text, let me know. And you're certainly welcome to do so. So, Brother Freemason Unlocked, I certainly welcome you. I thank you. And to everyone who's ever come on the show, I appreciate you. And we're going to leave it at that. You have a good night, and take care of yourself there, Brother Freemason Unlocked.